We tend to think of attraction as this mysterious, unteachable art, something you either have or you don't. But what if that's all wrong? What if we could break it down, deconstruct it into a series of strategic systems, each with its own set of rules, its own advantages, and, believe it or not, predictable outcomes? Well, in this explainer, we're going to dive into that exact framework. And this quote right here, it's the key that unlocks this whole idea. See, there is no single right way to connect with another person. It's not a straight line. Instead, you have this whole landscape of different strategies. So the goal isn't about finding some kind of magic bullet. It's about understanding the map so you can choose the path that gives you the edge.
So, to even begin this journey, we have to be honest about the starting line. The framework calls it point A, and you can think of it as this conceptual space of social scarcity. It's that feeling, and maybe you know it, of having really limited options, feeling invisible, and just not knowing how to build the kind of connections you actually want in your life.
And the destination? Well, that's point B. And this is a state of social abundance. But look, this isn't just about getting more dates. It's way deeper than that. It's about operating from a place of genuine choice, where you know what you want and you have the skill set to actually create that opportunity, whether you're looking for one night or a lifetime. Okay, so how do we get from point A to point B? The whole framework kicks off with this really fundamental split. It's the first big fork in the road in this entire taxonomy of interaction. And it all boils down to two huge opposing ideas, the cold approach versus the warm approach. The difference sounds simple, but trust me, it changes everything. A cold approach is all about those one-shot opportunities. You're interacting with a total stranger you'll probably never see again, like someone in a coffee shop. A warm approach, on the other hand, happens in a context where you might run into that person again. And because of that, there's usually a lot more information about you floating around already. All right, let's follow the first path on this map. We're going to go deep into the cold approach systems. These are the strategies built for absolutely mastering that high-stakes, unrepeatable, do-or-die first impression. So the first system under this umbrella is called Daygame. Now, I want you to forget parties, forget bars. This is all about sparking a connection in a totally normal daytime setting where it's completely unexpected. A park, a mall, just walking down the street. In this world, the approach itself is the main event. It's the thing that disrupts reality and grabs all the attention. So why on earth is this so effective? Well, it's pure psychology. The thinking is that confidence is a massive signal of competence. I mean, when you confidently approach someone in a place where literally no one else has the guts to, their perception of your value can just skyrocket. It creates this instant, memorable wow effect because it's so rare. But, and this is a huge but, here's the catch. The single biggest barrier to entry for Daydame is that it takes a phenomenal amount of courage. That internal battle, right? All the excuses, the fear, the self-doubt, it all comes flooding in right before you take that first step. And honestly, that's why most people never even get off the starting line. Now, the other major cold approach system is what's called Nightgame. This is the world most of us think of. Bars, clubs, parties. It's a totally different beast because here, social approaches are not only common, they're expected. And that completely changes the game and what it takes to actually stand out from the crowd. Right, so in Nightgame, the entire strategy flips on its head. There's so much social noise, so much competition, that just walking up and saying hi isn't enough to get noticed. The crucial difference is the sequence. Here, you have to generate attraction first, and only then can you build a real connection. It's a completely different order of operations than what works during the day. Okay, so let's back up and pivot to the other side of the map. We are now entering the world of warm approach systems. This is all about leveraging social contexts that already exist, places where you're not a stranger, you're a known quantity. The first system here is what's known as social game. And this happens inside any established community you can think of. Your university, a cooking class, your group of friends, your workplace. The single most important factor is that you are not a stranger. You have a reputation, and you are absolutely going to see these people again. And right away, you see this fundamental trade-off. The huge advantage? The rejection barrier is practically zero. I mean, it's not weird to talk to a classmate, right? But the downside is massive. It is a much, much slower, long-term game. And because you're in a closed circle, gossip spreads like wildfire. So any mistake, any misstep, can have consequences that last a very long time. And finally, we get to the most modern system of all, social media game. This, of course, is your dating apps and social networks. And it's considered a warm approach because your profile, your pictures, your bio, it all acts as a source of information that exists before you even send a single message. It's a pre-packaged first impression. So here's the critical thing to understand. Your profile is a double-edged sword. Think about it. The barrier to entry is the lowest of any system. It takes zero guts to swipe right or send a DM. And because of that, the volume of competition is absolutely insane. Your profile either makes things way easier for you, or it is actively working against you. In this game, there is no neutral. Everything that doesn't add subtracts. So we've laid out these 4 very distinct systems: Daygame, Nightgame, social game, and social media game. But here's where the most advanced thinking comes in. It's not about just picking one and ignoring the rest. It's about seeing how they all fit together into one cohesive strategy. Which brings us to a really important question. Are these systems mutually exclusive? Do they live in their own little boxes? And the answer, according to this framework, is a definitive, absolute no. Real-world interactions are messy, they're fluid, they almost never stay in just one box. And that brings us to the ultimate takeaway. The most effective strategy is to specialize. Become a master of one system, the one that really plays to your personality and your strengths. But, and this is key, at the same time, you need a solid, foundational understanding of all of them. Why? Because an interaction that starts as Daygame on the street might move to social media later. And if you have no skills there, the whole thing can just fall apart. And that leaves us with one final thought to really chew on. By breaking down something as human as connection into a series of strategic systems, are we gaining a powerful tool to better navigate our social world? Or are we running the risk of losing the very spontaneity and mystery that makes it so meaningful in the first place? It's a question worth thinking about.